Hello, good evening, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are tuning in from, whatever part of the world you are. How are you? I hope you had a lovely weekend. I did have a very beautiful weekend. It was quite restful, so I thank God for that. Yeah, it's another Monday, and we are here now on our program Let's Share It, our talk show, every Monday evening, 6 o'clock. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining me on this program. Well, my name is Tony Ogunbanjo, as usual, and I'm here on behalf of Listening Ears Charity. And because of those who are tuning in for the first time today, usually every week I try to tell you a little bit about our charity so that you know why we're here, why we're on air, and why we are doing what we are doing. Let's share it. Now, Listening Ears is a charity established in 2006 out of a heartfelt concern about the level of isolation that exists in our community. And we have been going on from 2006, that's 14 years come October, by God's grace, still counting. And within the number of years, those 14 years, we have established various projects to address the needs we have identified in our community. Firstly, I'll tell you about our vision. We are quite passionate in three different areas, and that is where we base all our projects on. The first one that we are committed to is about reducing the level of isolation among elderly people. And the second area of our passion is about supporting and empowering and nurturing young girls on their journey along to womanhood. And then, of course, our third area of passion is about enlightening and empowering local members of our community to take very small steps of change to achieve improved health and total well-being. So those are the three areas where we focus all the different projects that we establish in the community. So what we do basically is that we try and check out what is happening in the community, listen to people, as the name of our charity indicates, listening ears. We're listening to challenges that people, and by the way, I think I need to mention here that the slogan of our charity listening ears is sharing the burden and achieving positive changes. So that is our drive. That is what we focus on. We try to, once we listen to people, and like I say, although that's a topic for another day, a lot of us hear other people, but very many of us don't listen at all. Because when you listen to people, that means you not only hear what they are telling you, but you are also taking a step to do something about what you have heard. That is taking a positive action to make sure something is done to correct whatever you have identified or to support along that line. So what we do at Listening Ears, we listen to people, we do surveys, we talk to people, we send questionnaires out, and we engage with our community. And wherever we find a need, we rise up to it and set up a project to address that need so that we can, together, we can achieve positive changes. And that is exactly what we've been doing for the past 14 years. And by the grace of God, we have been able to impact positively so many lives. And this is attested in all the different awards and recognitions that we have secured in the community for the work that we are doing. It's a lot of awards, actually, I have lost count. But more than that, what is important to me and to all of us at Listening Ears is about the lives that are being transformed, the lives that are being changed, the difference we are making in the community, and the lives that we are impacting very positively. That is what is important to us, and that is upon which we have based all our projects. Now, I'll tell you briefly about the projects that we run. The first one is the Rosebud Center for Girls, which is a space for girls just to be girls. You know, girls have things they want to talk about, they don't want boys to be there. We give them that space so that the girls can be there. We can meet up with them at the point where they are at. And I'll quickly chip in here, they don't have to have any problems to come to Rosebud. As a matter of fact, Rosebud exists so that girls are not going to have problems on their journey to adolescence, if that makes sense. So girls just have to be girls. They can come on their own. They can be referred. Their parents can bring them. Their schools can recommend us to them. It's just a space for girls to be girls. And where they are there, we accept them and receive them at the point where they are at without judging them. And then we give them a helping hand on that journey to adolescence so that they can have a space to talk, to share, to ask questions, to learn, to develop their confidence, to learn different skills economically, domestically, socially, intellectually, spiritually, all sorts of areas where they need help, so that at the time they want to answer the word woman, they are actually ready physically, emotionally, psychologically, and domestically. Because we are looking at situations where, when eventually in life, later in life, they become moms, they are actually ready to be moms. They can cook, they can know how to manage a home, they can know how to be a successful wife and a mother at the same time. And in fact, even if they choose to be career women, we give them all that skills, the life skills that they need to be able to juggle. Women by nature, we are multitaskers. That's how God has created women. And then we want to make sure that these girls are ready for that journey so that they can multitask. If, for instance, they want to be career women and they still want to raise a family, they still want to be a loving wife, a caring wife, a dedicated mother, they can be able to develop all those life skills that they need to be able to juggle all these responsibilities and come out with their shoulders high. And as women who are really ready to be women, we don't want to keep finding emergency women all over the place. So that is what we do at Rosebud Center. And every year, apart from all the workshops and trainings that we organize for them, we usually take the girls away for at least 1 week. Last year, we took them to Lancashire for a whole week. We had 32 girls. Trust me, it wasn't a funny job at all. It was a lot of work, but I loved every bit of it. It was very interesting, it was very challenging, but then it was very good for the girls, particularly those of them who have never been out of their homes before. Some of the girls have never traveled out before. Some have never had to live with people that they are not related to. But you see, the place where we were is such that they have to share rooms with people they don't necessarily are related to, and they still have to gel, they have to work in pairs, in teams, they have to develop all sorts of relational skills. It was a beautiful experience. And I'm really grateful to God that the testimonies that we get from parents after the girls are back, they are always very encouraging, because parents tell us girls who didn't used to go to the kitchen, now they can go to the kitchen, they can cook for the family, they can go around to the shop and do shopping for the family, because those are part of the things we make them do on the trip away for the 1 week. They cook their meals, they plan it, they run different workshops, they cook the meal, they serve it. They even have a lot of opportunity to compete so that we can know who is the best chef and who is that. And then there is no shame about those who are struggling, because it's an opportunity for them to learn. So that is so much about Rosebud Center for Girls. And then for the other side of the age, we have projects we run for the elderly and those who are 50 years and above, and that is called the Feel Good Centers. The Feel Good Centers, as the name suggests, is a space for people to not to be isolated. That is not allowed in listening ears. Nobody is allowed to be isolated. So we have these centers. We have two at the moment, still counting. We are trusting God. We are going to have field centers in different parts of the country. But at the moment, we have one in Abewood, which has been going on for the past 11 years. Yes, you heard me right, 11 years. That started on April 9th, 2009. So that's 11 years this last April, and it's still going strong. And the second one is just about 2 years old now, which runs in Thamesmead. The one in Thamesmead used to run on a Wednesday, and the one in Abbeywood runs on a Friday until the COVID. And because of the pandemic, We have moved the sessions to online. And trust me, our elderly people, they aren't doing badly at all. They are in town. Trust me. When I tell you they are in town, you need to see all my 70-something-year-old, 80-something-year-old elderly people going on Zoom, rocking it on all this techie stuff, on the iPhone, on the Android, on iPad, on whatever. They all come on Wednesdays and Fridays. They log online to Zoom. You heard me right. So those of us who are still much younger and we are not up to date with the technology, I think my elderly women, they are a challenge to you, because they come online on Wednesdays, on Fridays. We have a chat, we have a laugh, they have opportunity to meet each other, they hug themselves via Zoom, even if it is virtual hug, but at least they can talk to one another, they can exchange ideas, experiences, what their week has been. And then above everything, we have our exercise session, because one of the key areas of passion of listeners is to support people about their total well-being, which actually is the theme of what we have been talking about for the past 2 or 3 episodes. So we have an exercise session for 1 hour, because as it is said, you don't use it, you lose it. We don't want any of them to lose their limbs. So we exercise it, they do chair-based exercises, different levels depending on where they are at. There is no hard and fast rule, there are no regulations, they just do as much as they can. They come online, they do the exercises the teacher makes them to. Sometimes they do chair-based ones, sometimes they dance, they rock it, we do some Zumba, we have a lot of fun. Seriously, lot of fun. Every Wednesday, every Friday, you are welcome to join. If you just sit at home and there is nothing you are doing, you better come and rock it out with Feel Good Center on a Wednesday and on a Friday. If you want more details, if you just go on our website, listeningears.org, or you send an email to feelgoodcenters@gmail.com or help@listeningears.org. You can send an email and then we can send you the details of the login information and all that. So that's for our feel good centers. And then, of course, in addition to what we do at the feel good centers, we have a project we call Community Angels, which is a befriending and outreach program, which is specifically targeted at those who are totally isolated and housebound. So we recruit volunteers, we support them, we train them, we do the DBS check to make sure that we cover our back and that the service users are safe. And then we pair up volunteers with service users. So they go to them in their homes once in a week, give them an hour, and then they can use the hour, they can decide to have a chat, they can have a laugh, they can take a walk. If the service user is still fit enough for them to go around, they can go to the corner shop, they can just do whatever they like with their 1 hour. As long as they enjoy it, they plan it, we give them that free. It's like having a friend. There is no rigidity about things that they have to do. But things you will normally do with a friend, you will chat, you will laugh, you can gossip, you can do all sorts. I'm not advising you to gossip. I just said that so that you can give me a little smile. Yeah, so that's what the Community Angels is all about. And then, of course, we have our project Steps to Living, where we support people and enlighten them to take small steps of change in their attitude towards cooking, towards eating, and their lifestyle generally, so that they can achieve a tremendous improvement in their overall well-being. And then, of course, our baby project, it's Let's Share It, which is what we are having today and what we have every Monday at 6 o'clock. So it will be lovely to see you join me on Facebook on Monday evenings at 6 o'clock and on YouTube on our channel, youtube.com/listening ears. That's our YouTube channel. So you can join me every Monday at 6 o'clock. Now, talking about the program, our talk show, Let's Share It. Of course, as the topic suggests, let's share it. We believe that a problem shared is half solved. And we know that there are quite a number of people who have things that are bothering them and they want to talk about it. Sometimes they don't have the right platform. Sometimes the opportunity is just not available. And then at other times, they probably cannot even afford. There's just one reason or the other. So we believe that with this kind of platform, people can share their issues and then they can tell us what the issues are, then we can share it and we can proffer some suggestions as much as our experience and our knowledge will take. The little advice I can give to you as a counselor, I will do that. And then, of course, the way we work at listening ears, we don't necessarily need to have answers to all the challenges that you come up with. But the fact is, we work with a lot of other organizations in partnership, and we can signpost people to where they can receive further support if it is beyond what we can do in-house. Meanwhile, we believe that when you mention a problem and we all share it on a platform like this, trust me, sometimes there are 200 other people who are dealing with the same issue, but they haven't had an opportunity to find somebody to help them to talk about it. And then, so when we answer one question, we believe sometimes we might be helping 10 or 20 other people. So, what we have planned to do, so on this platform, eventually it will become complete question and answer sessions. But at the moment, what we are doing is that I'm trying to share the little knowledge that I have. I don't claim to know too much, but then I'm happy to also gain knowledge and benefit from those of you who are watching us. Because I know a lot of you who are watching out there, you are experts. There might be information that I might share. You might have to add some things to it, or you deduct some things, or you might correct me. I stand to be corrected. I am not claiming to be a custodian of all the knowledge, but I can only share what I know by the experiences I've been able to glean from working in the community for the past 15 years thereabout. And then I can share that. And of course, the skills I have acquired by the virtue of all the trainings that I have gotten along my journey to becoming a health and a lifestyle consultant. So we can look at all that. But I must quickly point out here, I am not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a nurse. So all I am going to support you to do is about your lifestyle and your total well-being. Situations where you still have to contact professionals like doctors and nurses, I am not going to ask you not to do that, but the area that we can give you advice on and that we can work together, by all means, we are going to do all that. So that is what this talk show is all about, and it's going to be every Monday at 6 o'clock, as I have said. And you can always type in your questions or your contribution in the chat box, and you can also give us a phone call if you want to ask a question. And yes, then the things that we are not going to discuss on this talk show, we are not going to talk about politics. So please don't ask me about politics. We are not interested in discussing politics because we are a charity that supports everybody in the community, regardless of their political standing or beliefs. We don't talk about religion because people don't, even though I'm a Christian, people don't have to be a Christian to be able to access our service. Any member of the community is entitled to access our service because we are very inclusive and our policies are very inclusive. We can talk about your faith, that's fine, but then we wouldn't talk about religion. In addition to that, we don't talk about ethnicity. You can be from any part of the world, you can be any kind of ethnic group. You are welcome to ask your questions or to contribute. Like I said, our focus is to make sure we support people regardless of what is their sex, their age, their religion, their faith, or their political beliefs. Everybody is welcome to ask questions and to receive support. So that is enough about listening as for now. I will tell you just before we end the show today about how you can support our charity. But then let's just get into the business for today. Yes, we've been talking about well-being for about 2 or 3 episodes now, and that is what we are still going to continue, wellness and well-being, because that is the core of the human existence. Because if we can sort out that area, trust me, we will be sorted in every other area. So that is why I think we need to do a lot of work around this area so that we can exchange ideas. I can give you information. A lot of all the information I will give you, some of them you might have heard them before, but trust me, there will be other people who have not heard them. That is number one. Sometimes one needs to be reminded about things that one has heard, or one needs to be updated, different reasons. But then I'm sharing all these things because there are things that I've born out of my own trainings and knowledge and skills and all the research, because all these things I go around to do some research around them as well, to make sure that the information I am giving you is authentic. So today, as our episode number 8, we are going to look at the dimensions of well-being. The dimensions of well-being. Now, wellness is the quality or state of being healthy in body and mind, and as a result of a deliberate effort. Wellness is not something that you can just accidentally achieve or acquire. It has to be a deliberate effort. Wellness is also an active process of becoming aware of and of making choices towards a healthy and a fulfilling life. Again, wellness is more than being free from illness. It is a dynamic process of change and growth, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Because sometimes some people think wellness, once you don't have any sickness, that's wellness. No, it takes much more than that. Wellness can also be said to be a dynamic process of becoming aware and making conscious choices towards a more balanced and a healthy lifestyle. And that includes learning new coping and communication skills that address both the positive and negative aspects of human existence. Because you will agree with me, there are loads of positive aspects of human existence as well as negative aspects of human existence. So our capability to be able to handle these two different areas of the rope and balance it, that is what we will be talking about when we are talking about wellness. Because if there is a part of it that is not balanced, then we cannot talk about wellness. We can't even lay claim to it at all. Meanwhile, well-being, on the other hand, refers to a more holistic, whole of life experience, and it is much more than just physical health. It is more than exercise and nutrition. It is a full integration and the pursuit of continued growth and balance in the different dimensions, including our spiritual, our physical, our emotional, our career, our intellectual, our environmental, and our social well-being. And that's the main area of focus for listeners, your total well-being. Research has shown that you can only enjoy a fuller and satisfying quality of life when there is a balance between the different dimensions of your wellness, as each of them overlaps one another and they affect your total well-being. So today I want us to look at about 7 different dimensions of our well-being, and I want us to ponder on our current behavior, and this should help us to consider where we are at the moment on our wellness journey, and then we can identify the changes that we might want to make in order to achieve improved total well-being. So if we're on the same page, what I have broken it down. The first one will be for us to look at our social wellness. And you see, if it wasn't for what I would have loved to do is to present it to you as something like a quiz, so that I'll give you different options of what is the possible answers or possible areas of where you can be at. So I think it is down to everybody to try and examine or consider where exactly are you. So it will do a lot of good if you grab a pencil and a sheet of paper, or a pen and a sheet of paper, so you can write down the options I am giving you, and then you can look at where you are at. That will probably actually be my homework for you for the week, so that after the show, because we'll finish the show after an hour, and then you can now go through all these things that we have spoken about today, and to try and check where exactly am I at? Where do I need help? And that will give you opportunity to know what to ask if you contact us, how we can support you. So the first one I want us to look at is social wellness, which is the process of creating and maintaining healthy relationships. So I'll give you about 5 different options, and then what I want you to look at when you are jotting down whatever you are jotting down is you put your answers in a 4 different categories, and the first category will be the category of never, the other one will be the category of sometimes, and then the third category will be in the category of often, and then of course the last category will be in the category of always. So here we go. I hope you all have your pen and paper, or your pencil and paper. Now, the first one, the first option is I communicate honestly and directly. I resolve conflict in a healthy, timely manner. You know, we are all different. So you need to examine yourself and see, excuse me, how do you communicate? Do you do it with honesty? Do you do it directly? Do you do it in a healthy and timely manner? Or the second option, you give and take equally in cooperative relationships. You need to see whether you just do some balancing. Whichever one is yours, you need to answer never, sometimes, often, and always. Then the other area you need to think about, I treat every person with respect. You need to examine yourself and your relationships with people. Do you do that sometimes? Do you do it often? Do you always do that, or do you never do that? And the next one says, I use my economic resources to support social responsible choices. You need to check that out if that is something that you do sometimes, or you do often, or you do all the time, or you never even have considered it. And then your last option under the social wellness will be I maintain a strong, mutual, independent social support system. So you need to think about that, whether that's something you have never thought about, whether that's something you do sometimes, or you do it often, or you do it always. The next area of the next dimension we'll look at is your physical wellness, which is the process of having flexible and a fit body. You know, we've dealt with physical exercise and all that 2 episodes ago. So this should, give us a kind of a recap, or joggle our mind or memory about what we have spoken about before. The first one I want you to think about is I maintain a consistent exercise regime consisting of flexibility and muscular strengthening exercises, and at least 30 minutes of aerobic exercise daily. You need to check whether you are going to mark never for that, or sometimes, or often, or always. And you need to be very honest with yourself, because it is when you are honest that you can actually be able to receive support. But when you are not honest, trust me, you'll be deceiving yourself, and it will be difficult for you to improve. Because if you are not honest with yourself, that means you are giving the impression that you are already there, and whereas you are not even anywhere at all. So it will be very important and crucial that you are honest with yourself. And the second option is I balance the amount of food I eat with the amount of exercise. My body fat is in a healthy range for my age, and no more than 20% of my calories coming from fat. Well, everybody, you know what you eat, you know how you eat compared to how you exercise it. Those of us who eat pounded yam every day, I am not saying there is anything wrong with pounded yam. In fact, that is a discussion for another day. One of these days we are going to talk about our food. A lot of people have been asking me, oh, Sister T, when are we going to talk about is it good to eat pounded yam? Is there anything wrong with that? There is absolutely nothing wrong with our African foods. Absolutely nothing, trust me. But the issue is, how do we eat it? When do we eat it? What do we combine with it? What time of the day do we eat it? And then what do we do after we have eaten it? So that is a topic for another day. But the question I'm giving you today that you need to answer me is that, do you balance your food with the exercise that you do? You can answer never, or sometimes, or often, or always. The next one is I manage stress and do some activity that stimulates relaxation response for at least 15 minutes a day. If you are the type who always does that, let me know. Put it there that you often do it, or you do it always, or you often do it, or sometimes, or if you have never thought about it. And another option says, I abstain from addictions, including caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, and drugs. Well, everybody know where they're at. I know where I'm at. So I want you to pick your choice from all these options, whether it's something you have never done, or whether you do it sometimes, or often, or always. And then the last option under physical wellness is I take proactive steps to avoid and prevent injury, illness, and diseases. So you need to check whether you do that or whether you have never done that, because there are some people, until they go to the hospital and the doctor tells them to go and do a test, they don't even care. They don't take any they don't take any precautions about nothing. They just live life as it comes. I am not judging you. I am just saying some people are like that. They really don't bother. Sometimes, I don't know whether it's because they don't know that they need to bother, or sometimes maybe it's just because they can't be bothered, or sometimes because they just assume that, you know what, I'm very healthy. I don't need to bother myself to do any checkups and all that. So you know where you are at, and I cannot know if you don't tell me. The third dimension we are looking at is emotional wellness, which is the process of creating and maintaining a positive, realistic self-concept and enthusiasm about life. And the questions I have for you, well, the statements I have for you is that I recognize that I create my own feelings and I'm responsible for them. You need to let me know whether that has never crossed your mind, whether you pick never, or sometimes, or often, or always. You know, a lot of times, so many people don't want to take responsibility for their own feelings. I remember very well, I think it was the second or third episode of Let's Share It that I was talking about. I think we were talking about our feelings and our emotions. That I said some people they are very quick to say, oh, this person made me angry. And I remember very well, I mentioned to you that day that it is not possible for anybody to make you angry. You have to be responsible for your actions. You have to take responsibility for your emotions. You have to take responsibility for how you feel and how you react. You remember I also shared with you that life is 10% of what life throws at you, and 90% of how you react to it, how you respond to it. And that is what life is going to give you back. So that means the way life has been set up and nature has been programmed and wired is that we are in absolute control of our emotions. Well, we are supposed to be, we are expected to be. So if we are not in absolute control of our emotions, and if we are not taking responsibility for our actions, that means there is something wrong around our emotional wellness, which is one of the dimensions of well-being, which we need to check out, because until it could be a process of growth. Like we have said, that is why this program is there, so that we can support each other where people are struggling. We can give some advice, we can give some helping hand, we can give some encouragement, and then you can be able to move to the next level of your life. Because at the end of the day, what I'm passionate about is to be able to see how, as an organization, we are able to hold the hands of people, get along with them at the point where they are at. Because we don't judge people when you come, we receive you as you are, but then we lend a helping hand, and then we can hold your hand and go on that journey together, and then you can be at the point that you need to be at. That is the whole focus of listening ears. So when I say certain areas of a place to be, it is not like I'm judging, I'm just expressing and giving you the different dimensions of areas where you can be. And then, of course, you can get help. Help is available, but you have to come forward for it. Even the Bible says you should ask and you'll be given. You should knock and the door shall be opened. You should seek and you shall find. So if you don't ask, nobody can give you. If you don't seek, you will not find. So please ask for help. There is help available out there. And like I said, every help does not have to come from listening ears. Sometimes when we are able to, as much help as we can give you, we are happy to give it. And whatever we cannot give you in-house, we outsource it. We work with several other organizations in the community and service providers who we signpost our service users to, or who will secure some further support for our service users from them. So help is available for you. Just ask for it. And then, of course, still under the dimension of emotional wellness, the next statement I'm looking at is I can express all ranges of feelings, including hurt, sadness, fear, anger, and joy, and manage related behaviors in a healthy manner. That is also another space to be. It's a very difficult, don't get me wrong, all these things I am talking about, they are not easy. They are challenging, particularly if one is still at the bottom of the ladder, where you need to climb this ladder to get to where you really need to be. It is not easy at all. I totally understand that and I appreciate it. But the point is, we need to seek help. If we don't seek help, we cannot get it. But you see, the beginning of the journey is for us to admit our need for help, admit where we are at. You know, in my culture, there is a proverb that says, yeah, sometimes honestly, I wish that it is possible to translate every Yoruba proverb into proper English, but a lot of times it is not possible. So I'll only just give you an idea of what it says. It says, you know, when you want to carry a baby, if you are going towards the baby and you want to carry the baby and the baby puts up her hands, then you can slip your hands under the baby's armpit and then you can carry that baby. So in my culture, they say that it is a child that lifts up her hands that you can carry, because you have a place to hold in the body of that child. Because if you want to carry a child, for example, and you get to the child and the child does that, just squeezes her face, squeezes her hands and everything, how are you going to carry the child? It's not going to happen. So back to what we are talking about. If you don't seek help, you cannot get. But when you seek the help, we are happy to support you. But like I said, you have to, the very first place you need to be is to admit that you are at a point where you need help. Trust me, even me, I still need help in some of these areas, and I'm still working on it. But the important thing is for one to admit first that, you know what, I'm at a point where I need to start to do something. This is not where I really want to be. I want to move forward. And then you can now, once you have admitted that you are at that point, then you can seek help. And then when you get the help, obviously, you will get to where you need to get. It might take time. You know, there is so much proverbs in my culture. There is another proverb that says, even a journey of 20 years, it starts by one step. And if you want to walk a kilometer now, once you take one step, trust me, that distance doesn't answer 1 kilometer anymore. It's already answering 1 kilometer less one step. So if you start to take the step a little bit at a time, and that is what listening ears is all about. It's about supporting you to take very small steps of change at a time. Very tiny, you know what you call baby steps? Just taking very little steps at a time, get the necessary support, and then move on to the next point of your life. And then, of course, the next one says, I accept and appreciate my worth as a human being. That's a biggie. It's a very big one, because for a lot of people, it's difficult for them to even accept themselves. And like I said, I am repeating it, I am not judging anybody. I am just talking about the different areas where each of us can be. So our responsibility is to be able to identify where we are at and then decide what kind of help do we need. Well, the first thing, we accept where we are at, then we identify where we want to be, which is our goal or our focus. And then, you know, in between where we're at and our goal, there is a journey. That is where we come in. It is on that journey that we want to give you that help. But like I said, you have to admit that you have a journey to get on. So a lot of people, they don't accept themselves, they don't appreciate their worth. And I'm not saying that with disrespect. I say that without any kind of disrespect. A lot of people, that is why for some people it is easy for them to, feel really down when somebody tries to bully them, because even they don't appreciate what they are at. But it's a long journey. Personally, it took me time to be able to get to this point that I can tell you this. But the beauty of having to go on this journey is that you can get to a point in your life that you can stand in front of the mirror with confidence and say, look at what God has done. And you feel so happy with yourself. You know, for instance, if you make up, if you look good, you are not looking good because you want somebody to look. You are looking good for yourself. And then by the time you finish making up and you stand in front of me, by the grace of God, that's where I am now. I look at myself. I'm like loving myself already. So when I go out, if somebody tells me I don't look nice, I don't even hear it. I don't hear it at all. Because you see, I have settled now before I left the house. But like I said, it's a massive journey. Trust me. I know how long it took me to walk on that journey, a journey of not feeling worthy, a journey of feeling something is wrong with you, a journey of feeling everybody is looking at you, a journey of feeling if your nose is too long, everybody is looking at the size of your nose, or if your lip is one kind or your set of teeth is something. It takes a journey, a real massive journey, to come to a point where you accept yourself for who you are and be confident and be happy with yourself. Be satisfied with what you see in the mirror, because that's the place to settle it first. So when you settle that with yourself in front of the mirror, trust me, it's so difficult for anybody to tell you anything otherwise outside. They just won't exist as far as you are concerned. So when they are talking, you don't even be of any consequence. Trust me. So that is another place, another thing to consider. Do I accept and appreciate my worth as a human being, or am I waiting for somebody else to actually ratify the way I look, or to give me some confirmation, or to acknowledge? There are some people, until people tell them, oh, you look nice, before they know they look nice. We need to get to a point you tell yourself in front of the mirror, oh girl, you looking really lovely. But like I said, it's a journey. It took me years to get to that point. And if I could, you can. Anybody can. Trust me. Next one, I avoid blaming other people or situations for my feelings and for my behaviors. That is another area where you need to check whether you do that sometimes, whether you do it often, whether it's all the time, or whether you never, blame other people or situations for your feelings. You remember what we said, somebody made me angry. If one is still at that point, so in this kind of with this kind of question, what I would expect you in your sheet of paper there is to put always. If you are going to be very honest with yourself, because it is when you put always that you can, check. And by the way, it just crossed my mind now. If you are interested in me sending you this particular questions and statements, you just send me an email, help@listeningears.org, and I will email it to you so that you can look at it, and then you can check out where you are at, and together we can work on it, and we can support you to the next point you want to be. And then the final one under the emotional wellness is I can realistically assess my limitations and cope effectively with stress and ego. That's another thing. Some people, their ego will not even allow them to admit what they need to admit. Some people, the stress will just overwhelm them, and it doesn't even allow them to realistically assess their limitations, because everybody have limitations, every human being. That's why they say to err is human, only God is divine. I have my limitations, you have your limitations, and there is nothing weak about it. As a matter of fact, when you admit your limitations, that's when you are intelligent. But when you pretend as if you don't have limitations, as if you are a superhuman being, then that's so foolish. Because the thing is, if you pretend that you are a superhuman being and people's expectation of you is very high, and then they check you out, and then you just can't get on the scale, and you measure 0, that ain't going to be funny at all. So everybody does have limitations, so that is very crucial. The next dimension is the career wellness, which is the process of making and maintaining choices that are meaningful and contribute to your personal growth as well as your work. So the options that I'll give you is I have chosen a job role that I enjoy, that matches my values and my lifestyle. That's another big area. A lot of people, they just do whatever work comes their way. So this is an area that you can check whether where you are at, actually you just took it because you had no choice, which means what the area you need to work on is about sitting down, outlining and defining what are your values, what's your lifestyle, what is actually the kind of work or career that you will have loved to be in. And then of course you now go on the next step. How do you get there? What is the journey like? You see, this thing is a process. So that's why I said it is a journey, but then you have to be ready to go on that journey. And then of course you can receive the necessary support to be able to embark on that journey and make a success of it. And then the other one is I have developed marketable job skills and I keep them current. That's another thing. Even when we are doing the work that we are supposed to do and we love doing, how current are we on the job that we are doing? For instance, every time it is so crucial for us to continue to update our skills, because you see, otherwise we will become irrelevant. If we are working in a place and we are not updating what we are using, or we are working in any field, it is very crucial we move with the times. We start to update our skills, we update our knowledge so that we can be relevant to whatever we are doing. So that is so crucial. So you need to check that and see whether that is never, whether that is sometimes, whether that is often, whether that is something you always do. You need to note that down. And I hope you are writing down. The next option is I balance work with play and other aspects of my life. That's about balancing, which we also spoke about the day we were talking about stress. So there are some people, they are still on the journey of learning. Everybody, to be honest with you, almost everybody is on the journey of learning how to manage stress. A lot of people. I'm still on that journey and I'm very humble enough to admit. But like I said, it is very crucial that we get to that point where we are ready to admit where we are at, and then we can receive help for where we need to be. The next option under the career wellness dimension is I earn enough money to meet my needs and save to provide economic stability for myself and for my family. That one you need to think about. Is that never? Is that sometimes? Is that often? Is it always? Does it form your way of life? So all these little things, we need to note them down. When we note them down, you see, there is something that is crucial about yeah, somebody is asking a question, email the set of questions. Yeah, you need to please send me your email address. If you send your email address or email me to listeningearshelp@listeningears.org, I will send you the questions. Now, talking about saving enough money for to maintain economic stability for yourself and your family. That's another area that is very crucial if we think about it all the time or we don't. So if we have not been thinking about it, that's another thing we need to think about. And finally, on the career wellness dimension, it says my work benefits individuals and society. That's another area where we are making a choice of what do we want to do. Do we want to do it just for the purpose of doing it? Do we want to do it because we believe that our community will benefit? Or do we want to do it because our society or the group we belong to or some individuals will benefit from it? So it's so crucial. Then the fifth wellness dimension is intellectual wellness, which is the process of using your mind to create a greater understanding of yourself and of the universe. Now, the first one says, I view learning as a long life process and question my views and change them in accordance with new information. This is very crucial. You remember, it was it last week? I think I've always, actually, because it's a favorite statement I say. Like I say, life is a school. You keep learning every day. And people who are very close to me, they know one of the favorite statements I say is that a day you wake up and you've gone through the day and you are going to sleep at night and you cannot point out to something new that you have learnt that day, no matter how little, trust me, it's a wasted day. So for me, life is a school. So if people are in the habit of viewing life as a viewing learning as a long life process, in this kind of question they will need to put always. And if you haven't started to do that, that's fine. No problem about it. Like I said, I'm repeating it in case you are just tuning it. I'm not judging you. Anybody can be at anywhere. In fact, that's part of the learning. Even when we are at a 0 point, when you are at a 0 point, if you start learning from 0 you get to 1, from 1 you get to 2, as long as you keep moving, once you are not stationary, before you know what is happening, you're already on 9, you're on level 9 getting to 10. As long as you don't stay stationary, you keep moving, you will always move. So even if you're at 0 point, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. You can always keep on moving. And the second option says, I listen to ideas different from my own and constantly re-examine my judgments on social, cultural, gender, race, ethical and political issues. Yes, I listen to different ideas from my own constantly. That's a very crucial issue. Some of us are so what is that word now? We're so so one way channeled that we don't want to listen to other people's ideas. And for me, I don't think it is a good place to be. We need to be in a position where we have an open mind, and that is the only way we can learn. When we have an open mind and listen to other people, listen to their ideas, even if they are not necessarily the same as our own ideas. If they are different, that's fine, but we listen to them. That's how we can learn and add to whatever knowledge we already have. Then the other one says, I take risks and I learn from my mistakes and I question authority. That's one. They say if you don't take risks, you can't succeed in life. Although you do that with reason, you have to use a lot of wisdom. So we take risk within reason, sensible risk, not risks that are just stupid and we just go out and take unnecessary risk. But then having said that, you need to place yourself where you are at on the scale. And the next one says, I appreciate and explore the creative arts of theater, of dance, of music, and expressive art. Well, you pick on the scale where you are at. And then the final one from that dimension says, I seek opportunities that challenge my critical thinking skills. So you need to let us know where you are at, whether that's something you do all the time, or you have never thought about it, or it's something you do often. And then the sixth dimension of wellness is environmental wellness, which is the process of making choices to create sustainable human and ecological communities, improving qualities in our air, in water, in land, and in space. There are some people, they don't even think about this area at all. So the options there are moving towards limiting my acquisitions to those that contribute to sustainability. Let us know where you are at. I eat low on the food chain and minimize eating products that require a disproportionately high cost to deliver. That's another thing you need to think about. I live in harmony with nature and the universe. That's another option. And then I take personal responsibility for creating sustainable communities and with chemically free air, water and soil. So if you've been involved in that, well, whether it's often or always or sometimes or never, then you can pick one of them. And the very final dimension is the spiritual wellness, which is the process of experiencing life while seeking meaning and purpose in human existence. Spirituality allows one to have consistency between values and behaviors. So this is very crucial. So the first one says, I have a deep appreciation for the depth of life, death, and understanding universal human connection or consciousness. So we need to look at where do we stand on the scale for that. The second option says, I recognize that there are many spiritual paths and that every spiritual tradition recognizes and teaches basic precepts or laws of wise and conscious human conduct. We need to think about that as well and see where do we place ourselves on the scale. The next one says, I integrate my spiritual practice within everyday life of work, family, and relationships. And then another one says, I appreciate the individual uniqueness, diversity, and need for connectedness among all people. That's a very crucial one. Some people might think about that, some don't even bother. Some think about that always. As a matter of fact, that forms the basis of some people's spiritual dimension of looking at life. And the final one there says that I have a consistency between my beliefs, my values, and my behaviors. That one is the most crucial out of this dimension of wellness, the spiritual wellness dimension, because you have to have a consistency between your beliefs and your values and your behaviors. You can't continue to change every now and then because you have to have your values. As a matter of fact, I believe that it is your values that guide your life, like guide everything that you do in life, guide your beliefs and all that. So it is very crucial that you maintain your values and be consistent with them. So with that one too, you can pick wherever you stand on the scale, whether it is never, whether it is sometimes, whether it is often, and whether it is always. Can you believe that we have already spent about an hour, 57 minutes actually? The time goes so quickly, and I've promised you I only want to keep you for 1 hour every week because I don't want it to be boring. I want us to just have just enough time to talk about things that we need to talk about. And then of course we can always, if there is any situation where the topic I have brought for the day, we are unable to do justice to it within the hour, I will crave your indulgence that we carry it over to the following week. So, but today, thank God, I decided to bring you 7 dimensions of wellness, which contributes to your total well-being, and we've been able to do justice to all of them. So, if you have listened to them and you have written anything down, that's fine. If you haven't, you can go back on our YouTube channel. You can always listen to this all over again and take your pencil and your pen or your pen and paper and pick on all these questions and please put where you are at so that you can start to channel your own growth journey, because you see you have to start from somewhere and it is never too late to start anything. Today is always a good day to start anything in life, and trust me, whatever you start today, tomorrow it will already be 1 day old. And if you continue to say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it, that is the terrible spirit of procrastination. And you need to bind that all the time because it wouldn't let you go anywhere, just make you to run around in circles. And that's not what you want. And I don't want that for any of you. So that's all. I'll really implore you to go and listen back on our YouTube channel so that you can put your pen on paper and answer all the questions and see where you are at and see the areas you need to work on. Now, I said to you I was going to tell you how you can support our charity, so I'll just use the last 2 minutes to tell you about that. We are always appreciative of people signing up to become our partners. We have partners who support us every month. They give us donations of as little as £5 a month. But if you want to give us £1,000,000, trust me, I won't say no, but you can sign up for as little as £5 a month, because you see all the services we render in the community, they are free, and then we have to keep raising money to be able to sustain all those services. And if you have anybody who is lonely or isolated at home who wants to join our Feel Good Center activities, it runs every Wednesday and every Friday from 12 o'clock, excuse me, and it's on Zoom. So if you want to get the details, you can send an email to feelgoodcenters@gmail.com or send an email to help@listeningears.org, or you go on our website www.listeningears.org. And if you have girls who are between the ages of 7 and 16, our summer school is on at the Rosebud Center. That's also going on Zoom. You can go to rosebudcenter.org. The timetable is actually on the website, and there is a form there you can download and quickly fill it, a contact form, and then one of the members of the team will get back to you, and then they can do all the cross-checking, check to make sure that we know particularly if your child is well under 16, we would like to have a chat with the parents before we give them the connection, because we have to observe all the safeguarding procedures. So we are very strict about that because we are a regulated charity, and we want to make sure we are doing things right, and that we cover the backs of all our service users and cover our back as well. Thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for staying online with me. Thank you for tuning in. I'm very grateful for your time. I'm not taking it for granted at all. And I look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, please take care of yourself and each other. Stay blessed. Thank you. Bye.